He told me he loved me, but I am not doing anything wrong. My girlfriend said the truth about her best friend hit me like a freight train. 2 weeks later, she called me from his place, and that was a wake-up call I couldn't ignore. I am still processing this, and honestly don't know if I am going crazy or if I made the right call. My hands are literally shaking typing this out, but I need outside perspective because apparently I cannot trust my own judgment anymore. I am Ethan, 26. Been with my girlfriend Cindy for just over a year. She is 25, and we are at that stage where we are talking apartments, future plans, the whole thing. I thought we were solid. I really did. We had even started looking at places online together, talking about getting a dog, all those couple Y milestone conversations that make you think you are building something real. Here's where it gets messy. Cindy has this best friend Greg who she talks about constantly, but I would never actually met him. Always Greg said this, or Greg thinks that honestly it was getting weird how much this guy was in our conversations. But whatever. Friends are important. Right. I kept telling myself I was being insecure, that healthy relationships need outside friendships. But it was more than just mentions. She had light up when talking about him in this way that I don't know how to explain it. Like when she would get a text from him, her whole face would change. She would get this little smile and immediately start typing back, even if we were in the middle of watching a movie or having dinner. 2 weeks ago, she finally introduced us at this casual dinner downtown. I was actually excited to meet him, thinking maybe once I put a face to the name, I would feel less weird about how much he was in our lives. And guys, within the first 5 minutes, I knew something was off. This dude walks up to our table where I am already sitting with Cindy, looks me up and down like he is sizing me up, and goes, "Oh wow. Cindy said you were tall, but I guess I am still taller." Then literally stands on his tiptoes next to me to check. Who does that? I am 6'1" for context. He is maybe 6'2", but like, why is this a competition? I just sat there thinking, did this grown man really just measure himself against me at a restaurant? Then during dinner, every single thing I said, Greg had to contradict or one up. I mentioned liking this local band that Cindy and I had seen together. Oh yeah, I actually know the bassist personally. We grab drinks sometimes. I talked about my job as a data analyst. Numbers are cool, but creative fields like copywriting really shape culture. You know, like, we are the ones actually influencing how people think. The whole time, Cindy's just sitting there laughing at his jokes, nodding along when he had correct me about stuff. At one point, I mentioned this hiking trail Cindy and I had discovered, and Greg immediately jumps in with, "Oh, Cindy told me about that. I have been meaning to check it out. Maybe we should go together sometime," and she just agreed, right there in front of me. But here is the part that made my stomach drop and honestly still makes me feel sick. Thinking about it when Cindy bent down to grab her purse from under the table. This guy just stared. Like, obviously, shamelessly checked out her backside, and when she stood back up, he had this smug little smile like he had gotten away with something, like he was daring me to say something about it. I am not some crazy jealous boyfriend. I don't police who Cindy talks to or hangs out with, but the way this dude was looking at my girlfriend, in front of my face, while actively competing with me, it felt disrespectful as hell. It felt intentional. In the rideshare home, I tried to bring it up gently. Hey, that dinner felt a little weird. Greg seemed really competitive, and some of his behavior toward you made me uncomfortable. And that is when she said it. You are being dramatic, Ethan. Greg's just confident. Maybe you are intimidated because you are not used to guys like him. Guys like him. What does that even mean? Guys who stare at taken women. Guys who turn every conversation into a pissing contest. I asked her what she meant by that, and she just waved me off, said I was overthinking things. The conversation escalated fast. I tried explaining that it wasn't about confidence, it was about respect. The height thing, the contradicting, the way he looked at her, it all felt intentional, like he was marking territory or something. She got defensive, said I was reading too much into things, and that Greg had never been anything but a good friend, that he had been there for her through tough times, that he understood her in ways that I was still learning to. When I pressed that good friends don't act like that around their friend's boyfriend, she bailed out of the rideshare a block from her place to cool off. I sat there watching her walk away in the dark thinking, Am I crazy? Am I seeing things that aren't there? Maybe I was just threatened by their history, their inside jokes, the easy way they talk to each other. The next morning she apologized for walking out, and I apologized for coming on too strong. She promised she would create some distance with Greg and be more mindful of how their friendship might affect me. She said she hadn't realized how the dinner looked from my perspective, and that she wanted me to feel secure in our relationship. I thought that was the end of it. I was so naive. Reddit, I need to know, was I being dramatic? Or were those legitimate red flags? Because what happened over the next few weeks, I don't even know where to start. Someone asked about Cindy's reaction when I pointed out the checking out thing specifically. I didn't mention it directly that night because I didn't want to sound possessive, but when I brought it up the next day, she said I imagined it, and that Greg wasn't even looking in that direction. She said I was looking for problems where there weren't any and that maybe I needed to work on my insecurity. That felt like gaslighting, right? I will update you guys on what has been happening since. Spoiler alert. It gets so much worse. Update 1. Hey Reddit. Back with an update that is honestly making me question everything about my relationship and my sanity. So after Cindy promised to create distance with Greg, things were actually good for about 12 days. No constant Greg references, no suspicious texting. Felt like my girlfriend was actually present with me again. We had some of our best conversations in months during that time. She seemed more relaxed, more focused on us. Then the slippages started. It began small. Inside jokes I didn't understand popping up in random conversations. Oh, that is so Greg comments about random stuff on television, or things we would see walking around. Then I noticed she was staying up later. Phone buzzing with messages she would quickly minimize when I was around. The first time I noticed it, we were watching Netflix on the couch. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, and this little smile crossed her face before she quickly put it face down. When I asked who it was, she said just Jenna, but something felt off about how quickly she answered. When I asked about it casually a few days later, not accusatory, just curious, she said Greg had been reaching out about work collaboration ideas. Cindy does event coordination, Greg's a copywriter. So it wasn't impossible, but something felt off about how secretive she was being. Like, why couldn't she just say, oh, Greg's texting about work stuff instead of minimizing the screen? The texting got more frequent. Late-night conversations that she would have in the bathroom or when she thought I was asleep. I started noticing she would take her phone with her everywhere, even just to grab water from the kitchen. 2 weeks ago, she mentioned going to a group hangout at some bar downtown. Normal friend stuff, right? She said it was a bunch of people from her college friend group. Very casual. I trusted her completely and actually encouraged her to go have fun. Except when she posted Instagram stories that night. There is Greg front and center in every single group shot, not just present, but prominently featured. In one video, he has literally got his arm around her waist while they are all laughing at something, and she is leaning into him in this way that made my stomach drop. I screenshot it before I could stop myself. Yeah, I know how that sounds, but I needed proof that I wasn't imagining things. When she got home that night, she was in this amazing mood, glowing, energetic, talking about how much fun she had had. I tried to be happy for her, but seeing those photos had messed with my head. I brought it up the next day, tried to stay calm, tried to be rational. Hey, I thought you were going to maintain some distance with Greg. The Instagram stuff last night looked pretty close. That is when she hit me with, "You are being controlling. Ethan, I am allowed to have friends. I cannot help if Greg happens to be at group events. What? Am I supposed to avoid my entire friend group just because he is there?" Controlling. That word hit different. It made me feel like I was the problem, like I was some possessive boyfriend who couldn't handle his girlfriend having male friends. I took a step back and really examined myself. Was I being controlling? I mean, I never told her she couldn't see him. I never demanded she cut contact. I just asked for respect and boundaries after he had been inappropriate. But her reaction made me second-guess everything. So I tried a different approach. Saturday her down last weekend and explained it like this. I am not trying to control who you are friends with. But when someone disrespects our relationship and makes me uncomfortable, I need to know you will prioritize us. That is not control, that is just being a team. She seemed to get it, nodded along, said she understood, promised she would be more mindful about one-on-one time with Greg. She even said she could see how the Instagram stuff might have looked from my perspective. One-on-one time. Like that was some generous compromise instead of basic relationship respect. But here is where it gets really messed up, and I am still trying to process this. Yesterday, Cindy's roommate Jenna pulled me aside when I was picking Cindy up for dinner. Jenna's always been cool with me. Super straightforward person. The kind who tells you when you have food in your teeth. She looked uncomfortable as hell but said, "Ethan, I like you. So I am gonna say this once. Greg has a thing for Cindy, like, obviously, and I think she knows it but doesn't want to deal with it." My stomach just dropped. What do you mean she knows? Jenna looked around like she was making sure Cindy wasn't in earshot. Last month she mentioned Greg had admitted he liked her a while back, but that she didn't want to lose the friendship. She said she could manage it by keeping things light and maintaining boundaries. Guys, she knew. This whole time, she knew Greg had feelings for her, and she was still maintaining close contact, while telling me I was being dramatic and controlling for expressing discomfort. I felt like I was going to throw up right there in their hallway. When did he tell her this? I asked. From what she said, it sounded like months ago. Maybe even before you two got serious. So she had known about his feelings, potentially our entire relationship, and never thought to mention it when I was expressing concerns about his behavior. I haven't confronted her about this yet because honestly, I am scared of what else I might find out. Part of me is wondering if there is more she has been hiding, more conversations or interactions she has kept from me. Part of me wants to believe she is just trying to preserve a friendship and doesn't realize how dangerous this is. But another part of me is starting to wonder if she likes the attention. If having a guy who is into her hanging around makes her feel good about herself. Reddit. What do I do with this information? Do I tell her what Jenna said? Do I just trust that she will figure it out on her own? Because right now, it feels like I am the only one in this relationship actually trying to protect it. Someone asked if there were other red flags I missed. Looking back, yeah. Greg always seemed to know details about Cindy's schedule, her work drama, even stuff about us sometimes. Things like when we had had arguments or when I was stressed about work. I thought she was just a good friend who listened. Now I am wondering if she was oversharing about our relationship problems with someone who had an agenda. For those asking, yes, I am planning to talk to her tonight. I will update you guys on how it goes. I have a feeling this conversation is going to change everything. Update 2. Thursday night. I sat Cindy down and told her what Jenna had shared, that Greg had admitted having feelings for her months ago, and that she had known about it this whole time while I was expressing concerns about his behavior. Her face went white, like all the color just drained out completely. She set down the wine glass she had been holding and just stared at me. Jenna told you that? Not denial. Not that is not true. Just? Jenna told you that? I stayed calm, asked her directly. Is it true? Did Greg tell you he had feelings for you? Long pause. She was looking down at her hands, picking at her nail polish. Then, he mentioned something once, but it was a long time ago. It is not like that anymore, and you didn't think to tell me when I was expressing concerns about his behavior, when I specifically said his actions felt inappropriate. That is when she got defensive, started talking about how she didn't want to make a big deal out of nothing, and how she thought she could handle it without drama. She said she was trying to protect everyone's feelings and that she thought if she just didn't acknowledge it, it would go away. Handle it. Like I am the drama. Like my legitimate concerns about boundary-crossing behavior were just inconvenient noise. I told her this felt like a huge breach of trust. That knowing someone has feelings for you and still maintaining one-on-one contact while your boyfriend is expressing discomfort, that is not fair to anyone involved. It is not fair to me. It is not fair to Greg. And honestly, it is not fair to her either, she cried. Real tears, not the manipulative kind. Said she was sorry, that she should have told me sooner, that she had been stupid to think she could just ignore it and it would go away. She said she was scared of losing a friendship that had been important to her for years. We talked for hours. I mean hours. Went through the whole timeline of when Greg had confessed. How she had responded. why she hadn't told me. By the end, she promised again that she would create real distance this time. No more one-on-one hangs. No more late-night texting. No more work collaboration excuses. She even showed me their text thread to prove she wasn't hiding anything current. It looked innocent enough, mostly work-related stuff and group hangout planning. I wanted to believe her. I believed her. God help me, I actually believed her. Fast forward to last night, Saturday. Cindy said she was having a quiet night in with Jenna, maybe ordering Thai food and watching Netflix. Cool. I had plans with my coworker Ben anyway. We were going to catch the game at this sports bar. Just a normal guy's night, around 11 p.m. My phone rings. Cindy's name. I step outside the noisy bar to take the call and immediately know something's wrong. Ethan. Her voice is shaky, slurred. She has clearly been drinking, and not just a glass of wine with dinner drunk. Can you come get me? Where are you? I thought you were home with Jenna. Silence. Long silence then. I am at Greg's place. My blood turned to ice. The noise from the bar behind me suddenly felt very far away. What? It is not what you think. We were just talking and I had too much wine and I need you to come get me, please. I am already walking to my car, telling Ben I have to go. What happened, Cindy? Why are you at Greg's? Just, please come. I will explain everything. I am outside his building. The drive to Greg's apartment complex felt like hours. My mind was racing through every possible scenario, and none of them were good. Best case, she had gone there innocently and realized it was a mistake. Worst case, I didn't want to think about worst case. I found her sitting on the curb outside his building, looking absolutely wrecked. Makeup smeared, hair messy, clutching her purse like a lifeline. She looked small and scared, and nothing like the confident woman I had fallen in love with. She got in the car and just started crying. Not talking, just sobbing these deep body-shaking sobs. Cindy, what happened? Talk to me. Why were you at Greg's? Through the tears, he texted me around 8. Said he had an idea for a project collaboration and wanted to run it by me. Just for an hour, he said. Just one drink to discuss this work opportunity. One drink, after everything we had talked about, after all her promises, after knowing he had feelings for her, and I thought it would be fine because it was work-related. I thought I could handle it. Jenna wasn't home anyway, and I was bored, and it seemed harmless. The way she said harmless made my heart break a little. We were talking and drinking wine, and it was fine at first. He showed me this campaign idea he had been working on, said he thought my event planning skills would be perfect for the execution. It felt professional. Then what? But then he started getting closer, kept refilling my glass even when I said I was done. Started talking about how much he valued our friendship, how he had always wondered what if about us, how he thought I was settling with you. My hands were gripping the steering wheel so tight I thought it might snap. Then what? He tried to kiss me, just leaned in and went for it while I was mid-sentence talking about the project. I pushed him away and tried to leave, but he followed me to the door, saying I was sending mixed signals and that he thought I felt the same way. He said I wouldn't have come over if I didn't want something to happen. I pulled over, had to. My hands were shaking too badly to drive safely. Did he hurt you? Did he number? I mean, he grabbed my arm when I was trying to leave. Not hard but firm, trying to keep me from going, but I yelled loud enough that his neighbors came out to check what was happening. He backed off after that and let me go. So she called me to come get her, at 11 p.m. From the apartment of the guy I had been telling her was a problem for months. After promising me just days earlier that she wouldn't put herself in this situation, we drove home in silence. She was too drunk to have the conversation I needed to have, and honestly, I was too angry to trust myself to speak without saying something I would regret. This morning, she woke up hungover and immediately started apologizing, saying she was so stupid and should have listened to me, that she never should have gone over there, that she had been naive to think she could handle his feelings. But here is the thing. Reddit. I am done being right. I am done having my concerns validated after the damage is already done. I told her we needed to talk. Really talk. You went to his place one-on-one after promising you wouldn't. After knowing he had feelings for you, after I specifically told you I wasn't comfortable with that dynamic. I know, but I am not finished. You broke your promise to me. You put yourself in a dangerous situation with someone who has been inappropriate from day one. And when it went exactly like I said it would, you called me to clean up the mess. She started crying again. I am the one who got hurt here, Ethan. I am the victim. And that is when I realized we were never going to see this the same way. You are the victim of what Greg did. That is entirely on him, and it is not okay. But you are also responsible for ignoring every red flag, breaking your promises to me, and putting yourself in that situation despite knowing better. So you are blaming me for being assaulted? I am holding you accountable for the choices that led up to it. There is a difference. She called me cruel, said I was kicking her when she is down, said she couldn't believe I was making this about me when she is the one who got hurt. Maybe she is right. Maybe I am cruel, but I cannot be in a relationship with someone who repeatedly ignores my boundaries and then acts surprised when the consequences I warned about come true. I am ending it. Reddit. Today. I cannot do this anymore. She is staying at Jenna's tonight. I am packing her stuff. This really sucks. Final update. Final update on this mess, because I know some of you have been following along, and I wanted to give closure to anyone who invested time in reading my story. The breakup conversation happened the Monday after my last post. It was awful and necessary, and I am still processing it, but I am glad we did it right. If there is such a thing as a right way to end something that mattered. Cindy came to get her things, and we ended up talking for about 2 hours. She was calmer, less defensive. I think the hangover clearing and having time to think helped her see the situation differently. She looked exhausted but more like herself than she had in weeks. She said, I wanted to believe I could keep the friendship if I just managed it right. I thought I was strong enough to handle Greg's feelings without it affecting us. I thought I could have it all without anyone getting hurt. I told her you shouldn't have been put in that position by him, and what he did to you was wrong. But I cannot be in a relationship where my boundaries are treated as suggestions you can ignore when it is convenient. She cried. I cried. It was horrible and heartbreaking and probably necessary. But here's the thing, we both knew it was right. Even she admitted that she had been trying to have it both ways, and that it wasn't fair to me or healthy for her. She said she had been scared of confrontation, scared of losing people, and had convinced herself she could manage everyone's feelings without making hard choices. She apologized for calling me controlling and dramatic. Said she could see now that I was trying to protect our relationship, not limit her freedom. That hurt to hear. Honestly, because it meant she had known on some level that I was right but had chosen to dismiss my concerns anyway. I apologized for some of the things I said when I was angry, told her that while I still think she made poor choices, she didn't deserve what Greg did to her. That distinction matters to me, even if it doesn't change the outcome. We ended things without hatred, which feels rare and important. She is a good person who made bad choices, not a villain. And I am someone who stood up for himself, not a controlling partner. We both needed to remember that.